Hello, I'm Darren Sheriff, Yamaha's Director of Home Audio in the UK. I'm very pleased to welcome you all to the launch of the highly anticipated new era of our flagship Aventage range of AV receivers. Refinement, the improvement or clarification of something by the making of small changes. This only partially describes the leap forward we have made with this year's Aventage lineup. The RX-A4A, RX-A6A and RX-A8A represent 3 years of Yamaha R&D. So I'd like to start by saying, sorry it's taken us so long, but we're confident it's been worth it, and we can't wait for our customers to experience the best Yamaha AV receivers ever created. All 3 models strive for perfection, for realism, for musicality, and for true sound. But what is true sound, I hear you say? To help explain, let me hand over to Kai for our product strategy group in Japan.
To achieve clean and natural voice reproduction, our engineering people test a lot of contents. We want people to feel as if the person you are hearing is in the same room. Sound is not just one direction. You can hear sound from front, from right side, left side, back side, from above, near and far. So we want to express all of them. Our biggest goal is to set the sound free from speakers. We are a musical instrument company, so we always try to reproduce musical instrument sound faithfully. You cannot feel any distance between musicians and you. We've developed that technology for almost 60 years. That know-how is the uniqueness of Yamaha.
True sound is to remain faithful to the original performance, to the artist's voice, to the instrument being played. True sound is to deliver sound as the artist intended, as pure and as unchanged as we can possibly achieve. Our new Aventage range comes closer to setting the sound free from the speakers. In other words, it comes closer to cutting through all the clever tech and equipment to simply leave you feeling like the music is unfolding and being performed right in front of you. But today isn't just to talk about the latest technologies, but to convey the value of Aventage by focusing on the fundamental sound and mechanical design concepts. The types of improvements that you won't find on any spec sheets, yet are the reason why our new range can deliver a spectacular performance with even the most basic stereo format. Let's start by looking at the new external design. Why have we changed it? The new design represents our commitment to sound and to visually convey the evolution of Aventage. The overall design is clean yet powerful, and a continuation of our hi-fi story. The center dial is symbolic of the core value of an amplifier and represents our confidence in sound quality, while the black mirror finish has been inspired by our legacy of musical instruments. It's these 3 concepts that make this a truly unique Yamaha audio design. But there's much more beyond the aesthetic design. We've reviewed and refined the fundamental performance, including the internal circuit design and mechanical structures. With new audio components, high slew rate amplifiers, custom block capacitors, and a new Qualcomm system on chip, we have completely reborn the Aventage lineup under the concept of true sound. And what better way to celebrate Aventage's 10th anniversary? Let me backtrack slightly. What is an AV receiver? Let's look at the role of an AVR, but split it into 2 parts. The first part is versatility. It's a hub to support the latest formats and devices. And one major step forward we've made here is the addition of HDMI 2.1, which will arrive via a firmware update later. The second part is outright performance and sound quality. As a piece of audio equipment, Aventage stands for AV entertainment for the new age. And over the last 10 years, we've added many new functions, such as the latest surround sound and video formats. But this time around, we've wanted to create a more significant step forward, with raw performance that will not become obsolete over time, and that helps cement the core Aventage values. This new range has seen more improvements than any other Aventage range in history, which gives us the confidence that customers will want to update their current AVRs, not just because of the new audio and video formats, but for the improved sound quality. To explain all of these exciting changes, I will now hand over to Kate and Simon.
Thanks, Darren. Hi, I'm Kate, Yamaha's Home Audio Marketing Specialist here in the UK.
And I'm Simon, Yamaha's Home Audio Product Specialist.
To help explain true sound and how it relates to our products, including Aventage, we've divided the idea into three main concepts. The first is tonal balance.
This refers to the complete sound reproduction of voice and musical instruments. To be able to do this accurately and faithfully is very important to us.
To explain how we maintain the desired tonal balance, we'll be discussing our noise reduction solution, low impedance design, and audio parts. So let's start at the beginning. Power.
A power transformer is the beating heart of any amplifier, making this one of the most important components in the whole design. If unnecessary noise appears here, everything else we install inside will suffer. We'll lose the small details that make up the bigger, more impressive audio experience.
An amplifier PCB power supply circuitry consists of two parts, electrical current and electrical voltage.
In previous designs, we've used a transformer with a primary winding and a secondary winding that utilized a single power supply to run both current and voltage power amplifier stages.
This time round, we've used separate secondary windings with independent power supplies to feed current and voltage.
This allows us to achieve reduced interference and noise, which in turn improves the expression of even the smallest details hidden within the audio, as well as powerful transient shifts in the music. Another hugely important part of any amplifier is the preamp. And just like the power supplies, if you have any problems here, they will simply get amplified as noise through your speakers.
In order to realise the ideal signal path, we've completely renewed the preamp PCB layout for the first time since the RX-A3040 7 years ago.
The goal here is to avoid negative interaction between analog and digital circuits. So alongside the new layout, we have adopted multi-layer PCBs. In previous designs, we've used a single-layer PCB. By upgrading to a 4-layer, our engineers have given themselves much more freedom to orientate and position critical components, as ground and power supply can be accessed anywhere on the board.
This ensures a more stable signal transmission. Simple, right?
Not exactly. A great deal of time and precision is required to get this right. In order to achieve a stable signal transmission and to deliver a lower impedance, we first need to divide analog and digital, starting by checking the analog circuit carefully before moving on to digital.
Speaking of digital, let's take a look at the digital to analog converters. A DAC is very important in shaping the final tonal balance.
All of the new range uses ESS Sabre DACs. The RX-A4A uses the ES9007 for all channels, whilst the RX-A6A uses the ES9026 Pro for main channels and the ES9007 for presence channels.
The RX-A8A takes performance to an even higher level, but more about that in a bit. Next up is custom block capacitors, which work hand in hand with the onboard power amps to drive your speakers.
Using larger capacitors increases the amp's ability to control what the speakers are doing and directly improves low-range expression, delivering a richer, more solid bass response.
So when reading through wattage figures from our spec sheets, it's important to consider the benefits and performance gains that these components also deliver.
Now onto something that might appear quite insignificant at first. Newly adopted film capacitors from a company called Yamaha. Can these little things really make that much of a difference?
Well, if there's anyone that can rival the Japanese for attention to detail and knowing the smallest things can make the biggest difference, it's German engineering.
We use these finely crafted capacitors across the power amp stages, and as you can see, there's quite a lot of them.
The creation of tonal balance does not appear in measurements, and it's necessary to be tuned by ear. For example, measuring equipment can't judge if a violin sound can express overtones, and this is where our experienced sound engineers come in.
These capacitors have been carefully selected for their ability to inject a strong sense of energy in mid to low frequencies.
Finally, let's talk about noise reduction. It'd be a mistake to expect all of the hard work and improvements we've implemented to perform at their best in a less than ideal environment.
Which is precisely the reason for our symmetrical structure, where the biggest benefit is removing crosstalk between left and right power amplifiers.
By utilising all of the available space inside the case, we're able to position left and right power amplifiers as far apart as possible.
This also greatly improves stereo separation whilst delivering finer details. This design can also be found in our flagship stereo amplifiers for the very same reasons, and has become a symbol for hi-fi quality sound.
The second concept is dynamics, meaning a moment of sonic expression with a clear contrast between silence and energy.
Now let me explain one thing. Silence in a movie is rarely ever completely silent. In order to express silence and to create tension, the smallest of sounds are used. And it's these tiny signal transmissions that are the hardest to reproduce.
In addition, an amp's ability to start and stop quickly is critical.
Low impedance, as previously mentioned, is also very important in delivering dynamics. However, the biggest hurdle to overcome is reducing vibrations generated by the housing.
To help explain how we've achieved these things, we'll be talking about our quick signal response and a new mechanical structure.
High slew rate amplifiers have been adopted across all models, including our RX-V series.
However, this type of amplifier configuration has been fully utilised with Aventage because of their naturally high performance design.
Slew rate is how quickly an amplifier can respond to a rapid change of input level.
With our new range, the accuracy of the audio signal response has more than doubled compared to that of previous models, and now matches our flagship MXA5200 11-channel power amp.
When pursuing a high slew rate, the signal can often over or undershoot the desired response. This is a phenomenon where the signal exceeds the original voltage peaks and troughs without adequate control when large signal changes take place, such as an explosive passage in an action movie.
However, our new circuit has been carefully designed to achieve both a high slew rate and a stable signal transmission. In order to maximise dynamics, we've also refined our mechanical structure.
We have already designed a transformer separation solution, H-frame structure and arc wedge as mechanical technologies to suppress vibrations in previous models.
But by fully utilising various vibration analysis methods, we've improved in all of these areas.
The transformer provides electricity to the whole design. Unfortunately, all transformers emit minute vibrations, which can affect neighbouring parts and components inside.
These vibrations cause unwanted noise, which directly impairs dynamic expression.
What you can see here is our previous symmetrical amplifier design mounted to the chassis base plate. A single piece of metal holds both the transformer and heat sinks off and up from the base plate, which acts as a form of suspension.
This is our new design that applies to the RX-A4A and RX-A6A. As you can see, we've made a few changes.
When you compare the two, you will see we have introduced an additional isolation plate under the transformer. This helps disperse harmful vibrations from reaching the power amplifiers.
Alongside this, we've installed two supports for the back of the heatsink and power amplifier modules, with the same benefit in mind, to reduce vibrations and improve dynamics. We've also improved our H-frame, which improves the rigidity of the chassis.
Here you can see our previous chassis design with supporting H-frame featured on the RX-A 1080 and above. The large holes being for the front flap and LED screen. Now, whilst this is still a very strong design, our engineers wanted to take this a step further.
Our new chassis provides even greater rigidity, and here's how.
When comparing side by side, you can see a greater metal mass across the front panel, improving strength.
The front panel is now fastened not only by a screw, but additional supporting fins, and the H-frame is now secured with a 4-point fixing, giving added strength to the whole construction.
And our analysis shows half the amount of deformation versus the previous RX-A8A series. In other words, double the strength when using this new design.
Hopefully you're now starting to understand why these changes have made such a difference. But it doesn't stop there.
The arc wedge, or as you all know it, the fifth foot, has undergone some changes as well.
Even though we have such a strong chassis already, 4 feet are not enough to stably support the vibrating transformer, which weighs more than 5 kilograms, even on the RX-A4A.
So the existence of the arc wedge still plays a major role.
Until now, the fifth foot has been located in the centre, and it's worked well. However, given all of the structural changes we've made elsewhere, the relationship or position of the fifth foot has been reviewed.
The position of the transformer is in fact closer to the front, which has changed the location of where the most harmful vibrations originate from.
Vibration analysis has revealed the ideal fifth foot position, delivering 1/10 the vibration of the RX-A8A series.
Although this change appears quite small, the improvements to the sound have been quite noticeable, delivering a closer, more intimate soundstage along with tighter control over bass frequencies. The third concept is sound image, which are those delicate spatial expressions, subtle nuances, mood and atmosphere that help build an audible stage which we hear things from. Alongside physical parts and components, we also use our unique technologies to shape the final sound image.
As Kai mentioned earlier, our biggest goal is to set the sound free from speakers, to erase their presence and let the walls of your room melt away.
Our original DSP technologies are indispensable in achieving this.
DSP is often used to mean digital signal processing. Yamaha's DSP actually stands for digital sound field processing, the idea of creating the perfect surround sound field without changing the intention of the original recording.
No matter how good your equipment or content, if you're listening in a room with lots of obstacles, the original artist's intent will not reach your ears.
Only those of us who have a dedicated theatre room are likely to achieve what was intended, while most of us cannot place sound-absorbing material or diffusers around our rooms.
Uniquely, we are the only company to perform sound field correction with our own technology, YPAO.
YPAO is a unique sound field correction technology that has continued to evolve over the years, so that our customers can enjoy home entertainment at its best. The effectiveness of YPAO sound field processing can be seen here. On the left is an example of the correct original sound field design. This depicts the ideal listening position and speaker placement.
The diagram in the centre has less than ideal speaker positioning, but this is typical for many of us listening at home. The biggest problem with this is that it pushes the surround sound information towards the front, leaving this system with an inability to correctly steer sounds behind the listener.
The diagram on the right shows how YPAO corrects a large amount of what was wrong from this setup. The listener can now experience correct steering of effects behind them whilst enjoying a wider and more open soundstage across the front.
When making these corrections, we are very particular about never lowering the sampling frequency to avoid degrading the content quality.
Which is precisely the reason why we use 64-bit high-precision processing.
The accuracy of calculation can mean the difference between low-frequency noise or not.
Another unique feature of our sound field correction is our 3D measurement of speaker height and angle.
As many of you already know, we have been pursuing 3D sound field processing with our present speakers before the creation of Dolby Atmos or DTS-X. This commitment and passion for three-dimensional realism continues with YPAO 3D.
The boomerang-looking object you'll find in the box will help correct the height and angle of your main and presence speakers, giving your system the ability to precisely place and steer sounds around the listener. Now let's take a look at Surround AI.
Surround AI is featured on the RX-A4A and above, and sets out to simplify and refine all of our cinema DSP research and design to deliver a seamless and adaptable large-scale cinematic experience like no other.
Our world-famous digital sound field processing started in 1986 with the DSP-1.
Ever since then, we have been perfecting our original sound field processing technology while supporting the latest Dolby and DTS formats.
Surround AI creates custom sound fields in real time according to the scene of the film that you're watching.
When using conventional cinema DSP modes, the optimum mode needs to be selected to yield the best results.
Surround AI automatically determines the best parameters and selects the most appropriate sound mode. For example, is the current scene of the film focusing on delivering dialogue, ambient sound, subtle sound effects, or a highly intense action scene?
In addition, what's the required intensity of that selected mode? It would be impossible to change this in time using our conventional DSP programs, and it wouldn't be much fun to watch either.
Luckily, Surround AI extracts all of the required information to build the perfect sound field, analysing the signal 5 times every second, intelligently adapting to each and every scene throughout the film. You might be thinking, why would you need something like this if you've already got Dolby Atmos or DTS-X?
Scale. In real life, we hear sounds originate from all around us, not in 5.1 or 7.1.4. In most cases, there are small gaps in the soundstage due to the number of speakers we can run and install in our listening rooms.
Surround AI can take a Dolby Atmos or DTS-X recording and fill those gaps, creating a truly immersive sound field that melts the walls of your room away.
So forget what you think you know about cinema DSP and listen to the future of artificially intelligent surround sound.
We want to share with you our plan to remain flexible for whatever the future throws at us. To help us do this, we have worked with our friends at Qualcomm to provide a powerful new brain for the new lineup, the QCS407 system on chip.
Featuring a quad-core CPU, dedicated audio processing and high-resolution audio support, this powerful new chipset delivers 7 times the DSP processing power versus a conventional design, and replaces 4 DSP processors used in previous models. What's more, it has plenty of capacity to spare.
More impressive is its flexibility, featuring a field programmable gate array, meaning we can update its configuration via software instead of having to purchase a completely new chipset.
This gives us the possibility to add new functions via software updates and provide long-lasting value.
Speaking of software updates, let's take a look at what's to come.
HDMI 2.1 resolutions, refresh rates and gaming functions will be supported across all HDMI inputs over the 3 models.
This includes 8K at 60 Hz and 4K at 120 Hz at 40 gigabits per second.
This is expected to arrive in fall.
Additional functions such as variable refresh rate, auto low latency mode, quick frame transport and quick media switching will follow.
Release timings for these functions will be shared after test specifications are made available to us.
Another exciting update to look forward to is Auro 3D and Automatic upmixing. These technologies will be available on both RX-A6A and RX-A8A models, also expected in fall.
And what better way to introduce these technologies than the man himself? We are very pleased to hand over to Wilfred van Balen.
Welcome to Galaxy Studios, the birthplace of Auro 3D and immersive sound. This is where it all began 15 years ago. I'm sitting here in the first commercial studio designed to create immersive audio productions for the music and the digital cinema industries. In each of our studios we use Yamaha NS10 speakers. For decades, these speakers have been a gold standard reference used by top engineers and producers worldwide. Yamaha is a known leader in the music industry, and recent innovations have positioned immersive 3D audio on its leading edge. This is where Auro 3D comes in. Our innovative speaker layouts and audio reproduction technologies are seen as the most advanced in the world. Together with Yamaha, we are offering the most efficient, naturally immersive sound experience that only becomes possible when combined with the way we place our height speakers. Because this layout creates a coherent vertical stereo field around the listener. The result is an emotional experience that is tenfold more impactful compared to stereo or surround sound. Our speaker layouts adapt themselves easily to any room. All you have to do is place height speakers above your existing surround configuration. The reason why Auro's technology is so effective is because it takes advantage of our research into how we perceive natural sound. Ours is the only layout designed to reproduce the natural vertical coherence needed for our brains to interpret realistic height information in the vertical field, an achievement unmatched by any other brand in the industry. Be aware that if you are installing your height speakers too high, you will lose the natural coherence in the vertical axis. This is different compared to interpreting sounds in the horizontal axis, because we don't have an ear on the top of our head to analyze the vertical time differences. Most source sounds and their natural 3D reflections are located in Auro's vertical stereo field. That's why it's critical that height speakers are placed correctly. Additionally, Auro 3D speaker layouts offer content creators far more creative possibilities versus other immersive audio formats. Unsurprisingly, based on all the feedback we've received, other immersive audio formats when played back on our speaker layout come across as being more natural and realistic. Another important aspect of the Auro 3D experience is the fact that our coding technology is based on uncompressed audio. This means when you listen to Auro 3D, the original studio quality mix remains intact, preserving the natural spatial spread and full immersive effect intended by the artist. If that fails to impress, how about this? Auro 3D is the only immersive audio format capable of delivering high-resolution audio in 96 kHz, playable on any Blu-ray device on the market. Last but not least, the new Yamaha devices with Auro 3D on board also feature the world-famous automatic upmixing algorithm. This allows you to automatically convert legacy content in stereo, surround, or even mono into breathtaking 3D audio. I recommend trying it out with your favorite 70s and 80s LPs. You will be surprised how our technology breathes new life into yesterday's classics. Automatic is considered to be the best upmixing algorithm on the market. That's because it creates the industry's most natural immersive sound experience while preserving the artist's original creative intent. So get ready to sit back and enjoy a limitless range of films, music, sporting events in the magic of Auro 3D. Here at Auro Technologies, we are excited to join forces with Yamaha as the industry ramps up for an amazing new world of immersive audio.
Auro 3D offers a fresh perspective and is a growing sound format which focuses on the use of height channels to improve harmonics and depth. Capable of delivering amazing three-dimensionality to even stereo sources, as well as native Auro 3D media.
And finally, we will support cross-upmixing for DTS Neural X and Dolby Surround at the same time as the Auro 3D update. Now the moment we've all been waiting for.
The best Yamaha AVR in history, the very definition of control, our new flagship, the RX-A8A.
Let me start by explaining. This isn't the best Yamaha AVR because it's got 11 channels or because it's got the most power.
It's the best because it's the most delicate. It's an AVR that loses the least, holding on to as much detail and conveying the true intent of the artist.
Without any of you being able to hear it yet, let us try to explain why. You may remember that we've improved our mechanical transformer isolation.
Here is what you will find inside the RX-A4A and RX-A6A.
The RX-A8A takes this a step further and features a complete separation of the transformer and power amplifiers.
Alongside the additional transformer plate, we have also installed 4 power amplifier supports to offer even greater vibration control and help retain even more of those fine sonic details. To provide an even more robust structure, we have also increased the bottom plate thickness by 30% versus the RX-A8A, giving superior strength to the entire chassis.
This is yet another reason for the RX-A8A's outstanding detail retention.
Additionally, it features our best heavy-duty iron feet, which have been borrowed from the flagship 5200 series.
And don't worry, we aren't forgetting about our iconic 5th foot either.
Despite many different opinions and feelings around this, our tests have revealed that the inclusion of brass inside the arc wedge has provided an improvement to the overall sound.
For the same reasons, we install brass plates or washers under the transformers inside the AS1200, 2200 and 3200 integrated hi-fi amplifiers, helping deliver a richer texture and depth of sound.
Hopefully you can now start to understand why the RX-A8A is built even more like a tank than the rest of the lineup.
It's one thing to retain as much signal information as possible, but what have we done to improve the signal transmission itself? Let's review the onboard DACs.
Inside you will find dual Sabre ES9026 Pros, which feature an impressive 124 dB dynamic range and achieves a very low rate of total harmonic distortion.
These are the same DACs we use within the CX-A5200 flagship AV processor,
allowing the RX-A8A to perform dangerously close to a separate system's audio quality.
In addition to all of that clever number crunching, we've also tried our utmost to reduce impedance
and to ensure the least amount of resistance is applied against the sensitive audio signal paths.
Which is why we have doubled the thickness of the copper tracks on our power amplifier and analog PCBs, now matching that of the MXA5200.
To continue with the idea of low impedance, the gauge of power supply and ground wiring has been carefully selected to ensure effortless power delivery.
And you guessed it, these are the same cables used within the MXA.
Lastly, we've installed extra large custom block capacitors, making these the largest amongst the new range of AVRs.
These help lower impedance and improve grip and drivability over any connected loudspeaker. But none of this tells you how it can make you feel or what it sounds like. Ultimately, you'll need to decide when you have the chance to listen for yourselves. What we will say is, it's beautiful, and it doesn't require massive amounts of volume to reveal what's actually going on within the music or movie score.
It's wonderfully wide, providing a soundstage that stretches further than some hi-fi amps that you will hear. Largely, it's the grip and control it seems to have that impresses us the most.
We simply can't wait for you all to hear it and share your thoughts.